Testing. Hey, Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad. Semper Fi. Ho, ho, ho. Those are all the languages I know how to say. Merry Christmas. From me to you. How are you doing? This is another episode of Discombobulated, the Christmas episode. The episode that takes place on Christmas and that I record before I take a long drive and you go hang out with your family, even though it just feels like we did this on Thanksgiving. And did we have fun? Oh, sure we did. Sharing stories that are the same. Then everyone looking at you because, with no offense, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably the coolest person in your family. You've probably got actual stories. It's like my grandpa today he's gonna want to talk about Vietnam. And it's like, okay, but there's been any other updates on any other wars? Oh man. Is anyone else like I feel like Christmas is like as if I was still gonna go to a Backstreet Boys concert. Because when I was a kid, I was into the Backstreet Boys. I was a gay little kid. And I don't care who you are, where you're from, what a year did, as long as you love me. Was that NSYNC or Backstreet? That had to be Backstreet Boys. My memory can't always be bad, can it? But that's what Christmas is like, isn't it? Like you're a kid and you celebrate this thing. But what's even weirder is it's like that your parents are like, and I used to go see the Backstreet Boys too. Backstreet Boys is actually somehow timeless. And we should never alter it or make changes or invite anyone else to Christmas ever. It's the same people. It's the same band. We don't do any rehearsals. We don't do any practices. We just show up on Christmas with all the love you've ever pretended you've had. And have it at people that you haven't seen a lot. Bobby, maybe that's your fault. Maybe it is. But maybe, you grow up and you call your aunt and she still says, I go, you still call her Aunt blank. What's one of the guys in Backstreet? What's one of their names? I can only think of members of NSYNC for some reason. What's AJ? It's as if I met AJ and I go, Backstreet Boy, AJ. Oh my God, it's Backstreet Boy, AJ. Why my buddy's name's AG, that's why I keep saying that. I've never met AJ. The bad boy of the Backstreet Boys. But it's like, I've made the comparison, so I'm going to follow it through no matter how bad it makes sense or doesn't. It was the first one I thought of. So, and, it's like, I don't call her blank. And so whenever I call, she goes, Bobby, as if I'm still 7. We have a family member who is completely bald. Because as time passed, that's what time decided to do to him. Time is real funny how it plays weird tricks on all of us. Like as we go forward, we can't stop it. And some of us, it's like, who's it going to prank next? And then it's just like, just take someone's hair away. Take my hair away. But so it takes your hair away. And she still says, Danny, when she sees him. He has 2 children, a mortgage, a wife, and problems of his own. You know what I'm going to do? This is what the next time I see this aunt, and we have to be careful, because you really don't want to hurt their feelings because, they say our generation's fragile, and to even call them fragile would just show how fragile the other side is. They are like that classic, like China that you keep, like, they're like, we don't touch that because it's so fragile. But then we have stuff at our house. I'm like, you got plastic. Whoa, we can handle it. All right, anyway, that's a bad enough. So you go to the next time she's like, Bobby, I'm going to say aunt, and I'm going to jump into her arms as if I'm 7. Oh my God, you broke her fucking back. I thought we were playing a game. I thought it was called Let's See If We Can All Stick in 1997 together. Let's all pretend it's 97. Let's not pretend that every year people talk shit on other people. Someone brought someone new to Christmas one time because they fell in love over the year. Then I think they were at one Christmas, and I do think that they stole beers. I do think they stole beers from our house. I do think that this person brought a date over, and this person was like sacking beers away in their Jinkos. But at Christmas, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to be a little different, You didn't get coal, so you got some room to start with some bad. A little bit of bad in you. But yeah, this guy that was dating a very distant cousin, I believe, he started stealing from my family. Okay, that's bad. Yeah, that was a bad example. So that guy shouldn't be allowed back. But like any other time, like someone brought someone to, Christmas, and they we'll say they had a lisp or something, they had something that was something that people like notice in my family. My family's not sensitive. They'll make fun of you for every fucking thing that you do. So you bring, you try to bring. I hope someone else has this Christmas. Otherwise, you were like, you're on your way to Christmas, and you're like, I'm going to turn this off because I'm actually about to be like singing with my family. Which, have you ever been to those families? Oh my God! Someone's playing piano, everyone's singing around them. Side note: that family has problems you don't even want to know about. So, but so. Yeah, that's just like, you don't change anything. You kind of do the same thing. And then you try to bring someone you love in. And it's like everyone just wants things to stay the same. No one wants something new. Like someone brings someone to Christmas, and then like everyone gives them too much attention in my family. And then they'll be like, oh, okay. So that's the shirt you wore to Christmas. Oh, okay. Like, it's like, they're like, it's weird. Passive aggressive Christmas. That is the name of the podcast now, and also what I do. I lucked out this year, and I'll just be honest. I lucked out this year because my family, they don't do Christmas. They do, it's like a Saturday or before, or after. And some of my best memories and most insane things I've ever seen in my life have been in family Christmases. Everyone's bringing bottles of alcohol over, and when they leave, or we leave wherever you go, not one person Uber wasn't even around. Yet you bring a joint to Christmas, and people are like, I don't even. So my family celebrates on Saturdays, and so they do that. The Sabbath. We both have, isn't that something that like Jewish people, and when I grew up like Catholic, that we both have, isn't that right? That we both have the Sabbath. That's the name of, okay. And then there's Black Sabbath. So where was I headed? So they did Christmas, but luckily, I mean, dang it, I had to do my shows. dang it, I couldn't come to a Christmas where people, everyone like, oh, you treat me like I'm 7. You treat me like I'm 12. You used to kind of treat me like I was a little too old, like giving me alcohol. You can have beer if I'm around. And then another person's like, you can have my. When I was a kid, people are like, you shouldn't mix drinks. That's how I started. That's how I started. Rum and Cokes, Bud Light. Yeah, I had gay people in my family. But, so yeah, they did that, and everyone's like, are you coming to Christmas? I'm like, I can't, I gotta work. Which, I grew up with 2 firefighters in my family, and that is respected. The arts are not really a thing in my family. I'm 100% sure people describe me as gay, and I'm like, I date mostly women. And when I say mostly, I mean all. I'm just leaving room in the future to be who I need to be. And so, yeah, it's the like, you know, if you have to work, that's respected. Like, I had a family member, she joined the military and she showed up, and you might as well have thought, I don't know, the president had walked in. And she literally started doing push-ups, and everyone started clapping for her. And I was like, this is a wild experience. And I'm like, no, I can't do my shows. Or I can't come to Christmas. I have shows. Sorry, I have to work. I have to. And they go, you got to go where the pay is. I go, I do it because I love it. And they're like, oh, I know. And then I got a message the next day that was a group message to everybody. And they're like, sorry to everyone who did not make it. I got like it's not a cease and desist, but somehow it kind of felt like that. So that's where I'm heading soon. No, it's like the smaller part of my family. It's like a you know, the different side. I feel like you're like, is this episode sponsored by BetterHelp, or have I accidentally clicked on someone's like transaction on BetterHelp? But no, that's just, I like to talk about like how weird Christmases are, because I think it's so wild how many people I talked to that were like, you know, I got to go to family Christmas. I'm like, what do you mean got to? You ever heard of a thing called free will? Sometimes I'll just say that. Sometimes I just go, I have free will, which then you never know if I have free will or that was like a destiny. But yeah, I'll talk about that. I did not get to go to my family's Christmas because I had shows at Helium, and I had such a fucking good time at Helium in St. Louis. I just want to say thank you. If you came out to see a show, thank you so much. If you came out to one of the sold out shows, that was only one of them. There weren't more. I'll try to inflate my ego as much as I can. But we had one sold out show, and then 3 other shows. One well attended, and then 2 other that were sporadic. The late night show Friday was one of the weirdest shows ever. It was a show that I was like, hey, how's everybody doing? Okay. This is my headlining show. I'm so excited, and it's like, it almost felt like people were forced to be there. It was very weird. People couldn't have sat farther away, by the way. Could not have sat farther away. You're like, you're joking. I'm like, they would literally have been in another room. And so they sat far away, and the only thing I remember them laughing at was anytime I had made a local reference, and it absolutely destroyed. And then so I just started throwing out like local St. Louis references. I'm like, oh, and then I got sued by fucking Brown and Crouppen. So that was wild. But yeah, the first sold out show was crazy. It was so cool to have family there, people that I knew. Dan from Story of the Year was there. I'm sorry, does the lead singer of your favorite band come out to your shows? I'll wait 1, 2, 3. Probably not. Not everyone is as lucky as me. And I really did. I'm being a jackass, but I really did have just the most fun. I felt a lot of love. I felt the mushrooms kick in when I was on stage. No, I'm just kidding. I did not take mushrooms. I was offered them, and people are like, "Hey, you should take them before the show." I'm like, "Are you insane? I haven't gotten paid yet. I don't want to go on stage and just look at everybody and just go, literally not talk, just look at them." And every once in a while, I go, "Wow." I saw a comic eat mushrooms when he was going to do, I think he's headlining, and we were like, I wonder if we're going to know when they kick in. And at one point, you just heard him get really quiet, and he just goes, "How are you doing?" But it wasn't like it wasn't crowd work. He was just wondering how their spirit was, and we were like, "I think they kicked in." So yeah, I had a fuck it. The first show was awesome, but I will say this: just like how I almost knew every single person except for like the people sitting directly in the front row, right in front of me. I knew like literally everybody else almost. But the more people you know, it was like a weird show. Like my buddy Kevin had that too. He did a tour and then like a show in St. Louis, and his family came out. And you always think it's going to be like the most fun, but stand-up's different because like I would do jokes, you know, and like talk about like a real story and say something that's like a little too honest, and then like your cousins are there and they go, "Oh my God," like you hear, you know what I mean? Like they're not removing themselves and experiencing like a stand-up. They're like doing that. So that show was really fun. But I'll tell you what, the second night, first show, fucking incredible. Late night show Saturday, even though Lily attended, maybe like a fucking like a platinum show. Like it was so fun. I was really loose and free because I had changed stuff around. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna like do my set, like because I know people. Am I gonna go into crowd work? And because I know you specifically, am I gonna start with this? I want to change stuff up because I also know some people saw me like this year, so they're seeing new stuff, but they've seen some of that new stuff. So I wanted to keep it fresh for everybody. I tried straight up new stuff. And the late show was letting me have so much fun with all of it. Stuff I don't even know if I did. I can't even remember when I had started material, but it was so much farther into the show than I had expected to do. So that was fun. I had a great time, and I got to be very me. And I felt, I'll tell you this, I did feel very loved that weekend, which was nice. Cause sometimes, you know, as a comic, you do it and you're like, until you're on stage, even though you're, you know, with comics, you're filled with love, but for sometimes you're just like by yourself, and then you get to go on stage and there's this thing, but I didn't feel, like that at all, which it's not like a loneliness is what I'm describing. I'm just describing feeling like exuberant love from the moment I showed up to Helium, from the moment I left. So that was great. So I want to say thank you to everyone who came out. God, the shows were so fucking fun. And God, did people that I know talk during parts of my set that pissed me off. It's like one of those things where you don't really mind. I'm just like, what? I'm like, but I know you. You used to babysit me. Can you please respect my bound? I had a friend who I really did, like after the show, she was like, "I'm sorry." And I was like, I really didn't mind. She was at the late show. It was her and my buddy. They are dating, which is part of my joke, but it's true that I'm like, they've just known each other forever and now they're together. And I'm like, isn't that what we do now? We just date people that we've already known. And I think that's better. It's better than Tinder. And so, yeah, we got to hang out and had just so much fun. And at the late show, she started talking, so I started just roasting the shit out of her because I like, didn't care. But I was like, well, if you're going to talk to me, I'm not going to be equally as rude to you. And I just started making fun of her job, which I was like, because I don't know much about it. I really don't know much about like real estate and stuff, but that's what she does. And I'm always curious. So I just started saying everything I knew about it. And I've heard people talk shit on realtors. Like, I don't know how they are. But I remember I had listened to like an episode of Tim Dillon where he said that they're the worst. Like, I don't respect that. He was just like saying they're the absolute scum. And I was like, oh, but that's so funny. And so my friend started talking to the show and I was like, you're right, they are. And I just like said that. And I just started talking about it. I was like, what is your job? Because I sincerely don't understand it. And I was like, you're just like, I'll pick a house for you. It was like, when did this start? Like, I can't imagine forever ago when we were like, you're just like fucking people living like off the land. And then you're like, I actually found a shelter for you. I know, I could have found it. Yeah, but the one I found has none of the things you were looking for. So give me part of money. Give me some that. So that was great, but I had so much fun. Again, yeah, sold enough tickets to not at the end of the week want to fucking just die. But no, I really will. As a comic, you do it for so long that you're like, I love it. I really do love what I do. And then every once in a while, it's important how many people are there. You're like, I really hope everyone comes out. But everyone did. It was great. Only a couple people had to be annoying on the day of and be like, oh shit, I forgot to buy tickets. Can I get some? I'm like, have you ever seen the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey? Whenever he's just like, they're sold out. That means there's no more. I got concert tickets. I lived my life a quarter mile of just thinking about Jim Carrey quotes at a time. All right. But yeah, I don't even know. I really don't even know where to begin. I mean, because as soon as I showed up, a lot of fucking love from everybody. My friend Jen had already brought me cookies. And then I literally go, I think I knew the answer, but I go, is there weed in here? She goes, oh no, they're just cookies. And I was like, that's still great. I like cookies. And even though I can eat, I would say a pretty good amount of weed and be all right, be bobticulate. And she gave me some and I ate some and they were good. I was laying in bed just fucking plowing them down last night. So thank you for her. She brought out cookies. Other people just brought out just the best energy. We got so many good pictures from that night that were just like, I'll always remember that weekend. It was great. And this has been like, I've been doing stand up for 13 years. And so it's like, it's starting to feel good. And when people who don't do stand up, there's like a kind of a collective, they kind of give you this like, dude, you're doing great. We're going to see you on TV soon. And you're like, okay. And it's weird because it's like, you're doing good. And it would be like, I don't know how to, I truly don't know if there's like a good like thing about, I guess it's like, if you were in the minor league, like on a minor league baseball team, you would play baseball your whole life and watch all your other friends not make it to baseball. I think some of them didn't make it past high school. Some of them didn't make it past college. You're getting your minor league, and at any point you might get pulled up, but you get to fucking be in the dugout, just fucking chewing on gum, being like, what the fuck? Like, you get to be a part of that, and probably most of the major league players know you, and they also know that some of them are probably better than some of the pros. That's just how stuff works. I was not describing myself at the end of the show. I was describing comedians, but I am so much funnier than, I would say 16% of people who work at the UPS store. I don't even know what I'm talking about now. But yeah, like there's that thing from like people you don't know that are like, we're really proud of you. We think you're doing, it's so cool. You're following your dream. But then if I was like on Saturday Night Live, they'd be like, you're doing it. And you're like, I am doing it. And so it's like, that was like fun. But, I just felt like this weekend felt very like relaxed and felt good because I'll talk to comedians this year. I've talked about it a little bit. I don't even like, because I don't even know how to get specific about it because I did kind of be like, I can't believe I'm meeting you right now. When I met Dane Cook, like didn't know I was meeting him at all until like that day. I was like, oh my God, dude, we're both going to be there. What the fuck? And I told him we were like met and like a little bit just about, I was just like, I walked up to him and I was like, hey man, I know you're about to go on. I was like, I don't want to bother you. Like I don't even know if the show had started yet. And I guess the show had like just started. And I was like, I think he's like headlining. So I was like, hey, I just walked up and I was like, hey man, without getting into it too much, like just, I think you're awesome. You're like the reason I started stand up in a lot of ways. Like I was like, cause he like, there's a lot of things that start to make you like want to become a comedian. But he was like, whenever people describe like musicians putting on headphones and like fucking hearing Led Zeppelin for the first time, that's what I had with Dane Cook. I'd only known a little bit about stand-up. I started like seeing some stuff. I think at this point, maybe like I knew about like Blue Collar Comedy Tour. That was like the first thing I'd ever seen. And I had a couple other things. And I remember my cousin, I was young at his college in the summer getting drunk with, it wasn't his fault. My father was letting me do this. But I was underage drinking at a college. And I think my cousin had flunked out, so we were at summer college. Me, him, and my dad, none of us should have been there. I'm telling Dane Cook this story. He's like, holy fuck. And I go, but the reason I'm telling you that is because I started getting a little too fucked up. So he was like, I put in headphones, and my cousin was like, hey, this guy just came to our school. And I was like, and I remember Dane laughed. He's like, this guy. And I was like, I put in that, and it was Dane Cook. And I remember hearing, I swear to God, from my memory, I think it was the Kool-Aid joke. And I was like sitting there, like they're all like hanging out drinking. And I remember I just like had the headphones in, and I was just like, I couldn't even realize. I was like, this is so funny. I'd never heard anything like that. And so I got really into him. And then so to like be there and be like, I do stand up now. Thank you for the inspiration, all this stuff. Have a good set. And he's like, fucking dude, sit down. Let's chat. I was like, dude, I really appreciate that. He goes, sit the fuck down. Like he was I don't remember what he said, because I kind of had like hearts in my eyes. So I sat down and I got to like chat with him, and he was like, how long have you been doing stand-up? I was like 13 years. And he was like, probably starting to make sense now. And I remember I kind of started laughing, because I remember early on, like Anthony Jeselnik had said that to me like 2 years. And I remember like seeing him at a show. He didn't see me do stand-up. I just like shook his hand. I was like, I'm a comic. You're great. He's like, how long have you been doing it? And I was like 2 years. He's like, starting to make sense. I was like, yes. And so it's like you go through that, but then you do it for like 13 years. Like some people do it earlier. Some people hit that like 6-year mark and they're just fucking killers. I was 19 and I liked to party and I didn't figure it out. I was partying. And so he was just like, yeah, it's starting to make sense. And that's kind of how I feel. And that's like a good way to end the year, in my opinion, is that like I've had a great year this year. I met Dane Cook at the end of last year. I got to go on the road with Nikki Glazer. I've had so much fun this year. I've sold out shows in other cities. I've met so many fun people, and the fact that when I meet people, they're like, it's cool to see them pulling for me, because I felt this good in my life. I feel so good where I'm at in stand-up, where I'm at in my life. And yeah, I can say that like honestly. Like I feel like there's a lot of times where you feel like you're doing good. And I hope that next year I'm doing even better than now. And I look back and this seems a lot more like dismal than even then. Is that the right word? So yeah, it's been such a fun year, and I'm so excited for next year. But hey, that's enough about me. Let's talk about next year. I will say right in the middle of the episode where we've either lost people or people are zoned out. So let's I have some tour dates coming up at the end of this year. Actually, you can come see me on New Year's Eve. I'll be opening up for Leah Rudick, and I have not ever seen her live, but she's funny. I know her because her and her brother Andrew, they do shows, and he's a comic who I've met and many, many times. But I've never met his sister, and she is headlining at Helium, and this is definitely not my first time doing shows on New Year's Eve, and it's definitely not my first time being at Helium on New Year's Eve. So that'll be fun. So come out to that. St. Louis, Missouri. Then I got a pretty big gap that I'll figure out on at the end of March, which is it March? Yeah, wait, March. At the end of March is Easter, right? Dude, I'm really fucking this up. But yeah, at the end of March, I believe, whenever Easter is, Easter weekend, I will be in Kansas City, Missouri. I think we're doing a bunch of shows like Don't Tell and stuff like that. So I'll be in Kansas City, Missouri. And then on April 19th and the 20th, I will be at the Comedy Cabin in Janesville, I almost said Missouri, Wisconsin. So I will be there. And yeah, there's other shows, but I'm just really looking forward to next year. I really... Normally, I go kind of through the motions, and I kind of like all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's the end of the year, and then there are things you wish you would have done, but I don't think I can really say that this year. And I'm not really a big goal maker, but I just like how I feel, at the end of this year. So if you've been a part of that and you've been a part of the journey, thank you so much. Let's fucking go, dude. I hate that I said journey, but it's the word. So yeah, enough about me. We had so much fun this weekend. We did that. I got shows coming up, and I know every time I get off, I'm always like, you said you were gonna fucking in your head, you were gonna do that. I'm like, that's the power of ADHD. All right. Yeah, what is the I don't know how you guys feel, but I always feel like Thanksgiving, even though it just happened, feels like forever ago. And then somehow it'll be Christmas, and then it's like New Year's Eve, and they always seem like they're farther apart in my head, but then they're fucking right there. So I, really get weirded out by this time of the year, and people are like, well, maybe it's because you smoked weed. I'm like, yeah, but I used to have when I was a kid. Like, did you smoke weed when you were a kid? I was like, no, I was so scared of everything except for drinking at a wedding of a family member's. This Coca-Cola tastes weird. Did you guys have that as a kid? I just remember being like, that's not Coca-Cola. And people are like, that's alcohol. Ha 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 ha. And because you like it, you kind of drank. And then you grow up and you're like, well, that was pretty fucked up. Bobby, don't blame them. I'm not. I'm just putting it on the internet. God damn. Got my Bing Crosby. And then that fucker's name, Bing. Yep. We got some, we're listening to some Christmas music this morning. I had some records going. I got that. I got my fucking Reba McEntire album. That was one of my last gifts from, well, my grandma's still here, but from my grandpa. It was one of the last gifts. They were at Cracker Barrel and they bought me this Reba because they bought me the record player. And she's like, I bet you'll love this. And I'm like, I fucking do. I love me some Reba McEntire, love me some Bing Crosby, and I only really listen to it. Like, I last minute get into Christmas. I really don't decorate. I really don't. It's not a bah humbug thing. Like, I am not anti it. I am just, every year people are like, I'm going to take lights out, put them up, take them down, complain about it next year, do it again. And like, listen, I hope one day I want to put up lights, but it's when I'm a mega millionaire and I have a child that I want to have. And I'm so excited to be like, you ready to have fun Christmas? Not like the one that like we all grew up with. God, I remember it too. And people think it's crazy because listen, I did grow up like, I guess, middle class America. I don't know what the fuck. I wasn't allowed to ask how much we made because they were allowed to say we were poor and we would share bath water, but there was always Bud Light in the fridge. And my dad was sponsored by being gay before it was cool. I love me some Bud Light. So I remember waking up on Christmas one time and I had a PW80, which is it's like a little dirt bike. And people are like, oh, I wish my family would have bought me a dirt bike. Okay, that's great. Because I remember getting the dirt bike, and I still, when I hear gear shift, think about this. And I remember being a kid, and I remember because my dad was like, and I was like, a dirt bike. So I had a dirt bike, and then he's like, let's go ride it. And I went to ride it. And I want to let you guys know, I knew close to zero about riding a dirt bike. I was just a little boy and saw a dirt bike one day and was like, I got to get me some of that. And so I remember my family, I guess, was going to get me. We went to the firehouse one day where my dad worked, and this guy was selling like a PW80. And I sat on it, and I was like, I can ride this? And I don't even think it shifted. I don't even remember if it shifted. I think it just went. And so I rode the thing, and I went to turn around in the field and just never had ridden something like this. So I went like this and pulled the throttle too hard. And instead of turning, I went fucking straight in the woods and just fell over. Like I just went, and people were like picking me up. So my dad saw that and was like, let's get him a bigger one. So I woke up at Christmas and I had one, and I was like, oh, sick. And I think at this time, maybe I pushed that like on a four-wheeler, like I'd sat on a four-wheeler and done that with someone like riding with me. So now I have a dirt bike. And I woke up that morning, my dad's like, let's fucking ride it. And I remember riding it, and going around, and I was like in first gear in this thing. I think I want to say I had 3 gears, maybe 4, but it was like you would kickstart it, which is maybe still the coolest thing you can do is kickstart a dirt bike. I think it might be cooler than having sex is like that is that was kind of more of a street bike, but I got so excited just even thinking about the kickstart of a dirt bike. So I had the dirt bike, but I remember I was like, it was in first gear. It comes around the turn. And if you don't know much about engines, like me, whenever you ride, you go in first gear, and then when it gets like, you shift into second gear. And this bike didn't even have a clutch. You didn't even have to like pull in the clutch before you shifted. You would just once you started revving, you were like allowed to shift. I don't even know. I don't know how the engine works. I just know how sounds are. And so I go around the corner, I'm like, and my dad was like, I just remember, dude, fucking full tears riding a dirt bike, the gayest dirt bike, just like in 90s gay. Listen, if you're gay, that's cool. I think I am, and my dad might be. And so you can just figure it's fine. But I remember he was like yelling at me how to shift. He's like, put it in second gear. I'm like, what is that? I'm like trying to signal down to my dad, like, what? I don't know what second is. And he's like, up. So I'm like pulling up on the dirt. I'm like going like this on the dirt bike. He goes, up. Like he taught me how to ride a dirt bike, like how Harry Potter learned how to fucking ride a broom. He's like, up, up, up. Like yanking. I'm like popping a wheelie before I knew how to shift gears. And so like that's like the Christmas that I grew up with. So if you grew up with that, send me an email, because I bet we have some funny stories that I can't share on here, because as I get older, I will share a story from my childhood. And I love watching people's mouths just drop. And I'm like, you don't have a similar story? They're like, not even kind of. I'm like, that's cool to me. I'm not complaining. I liked that. But goddamn, I saved Christmas one year. So my dad was a firefighter, so sometimes he would be gone like all day. Sometimes like on Christmas or like the night leading into Christmas. And this is after I stopped believing in Santa, which, by the way, sorry if you listen to this episode, even though it's only 18 and up and you still believe in Santa Claus, because I'll also tell you, I was the oldest kid in my class. I am really trying to use my memory to make sure I'm not lying, but I believe I had heard of hand jobs and still believed in Santa Claus. So when I remember being a kid, and I remember like even kind of like denying it. I don't remember if I even remember one time like walking into a room where I like opened it up and there was like presents, and I just shut it. Because I think I still it was like I wanted to believe maybe, but I was like one of the oldest fuckers in my class. And I remember I came home and I guess my parents were like, we got to like fucking tell this guy that it's not true anymore, because he's going to be driving. And if someone shocks him, if he's driving his car and someone's like, Santa Claus isn't real, and he's like, I'm fucking 64, 40, they're going to fucking shut down the highway because Bobby just died. Getting rear-ended by everyone on 65 Hard Party. And so, yeah. That was like the worst is realizing Santa is like not real. Like I remember I came home and my mom was like, I can't take responsibility for this. So I guess my dad had to call me, and he's like, yo, Santa Claus is not real. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I felt like I was on, like, the Maury show, and they're like, in the results of Santa Claus, he is not real, and I fucking lost my mind. I lost my mind. I was like, what? What? I was watching the movie the Santa Claus, and I remember taking it out, and I knew I would get in trouble if I broke it, but I threw it against like the couch so it was like soft. And my mom goes, Bobby. And I go, what's the point? How can we go on? Yeah, I invented that song. And so I was so mad. And so I got so fucking mad. And I remember like being like, whatever. But then I remember, even as a kid, I would like, you either find hope, even though it can be hopeless sometimes, but like you kind of find hope and stuff. And I was so sad. And then my mom was probably like someone, I don't know, maybe if an adult told me or if I like realized it. I don't know who to give credit to, but at one point I realized I was like, oh, my brother. I have a little brother who still believes, so we can like share the magic with him still. So that's fine. So one night he goes to sleep and I'm just laying in bed just being like, it's all bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. And then I remember being like, still awake, being like, so when does my mom, I guess, go set up these presents? Because did you ever do that as a kid? You'd wake up and you'd be like, okay, I'm going to go take a piss. And then you try not to look. And then you're like, just try to see if there's any presents there. Did Santa stop by yet? He make his way to St. Louis? And so when I like woke up, I was like, I'll go check. And there was no presents. And then I went back to bed and then I checked again. And then I was like, I went in my room and my mom fell asleep. And so I was like, hey, I think you need to wake up. I basically was like, I think you need to get up for work. And she was like, I'm like, what? Hello? And so, yeah, she got up and like, yeah. So I saved Christmas one year. Not a big deal. Have you ever saved Christmas? I sure as fuck didn't think so. Oh, one of my cousins came out to the show and I found out he just got an award for, he was like in line and someone passed out and needed CPR and he gave it to them and saved their life. I'm like, I was a firefighter for 5 years and I didn't even do that. I feel like I was a magician showing him a trick and he literally one day was just in line and just saw a deck of cards and he just goes like this. I'm like, yeah, exactly like that. I just thought that was crazy. So he like got an award from firefighters and they had to be like, we would have done it if we were there too. But yeah, the world's pretty crazy. I always forget about that you can just be out and anything can happen. Like you could just be out, someone goes down and you're like, oh my God. And then you have to decide in that moment, am I about to kiss this stranger who's passed out? And is that like gonna save their life? Because if not, then I'm gonna be like, ugh. Because I don't know if you know this. Sometimes when you're pushing on people's chests and their mouths, they throw up. Here's the thing: I used to like daydream about giving someone CPR, not even sexually, like literally just being like, oh, I'm gonna save someone one day. I'm gonna be out, and no one's gonna notice something, and I'm gonna fucking give a dog CPR and save this dog's life. But I didn't get to do that. And then I remember being in like EMT school and they were like, yeah, and if you do, the compressions are really important, a little bit more important because that's what you're doing. You're keeping the circulatory system going. So you just need to get fucking fresh blood through their body. And the breathing is important, which they change all the time. They're like, you got to do breaths. Then later they're like, we don't care. And they're like, now we've changed the BPMs of the song. If I was a band, I'd be like, listen, we're breaking up. I don't even know what it is now. It might be different. You might fucking sit on them and do that. I don't think that's true. Don't look that up. You should look it up. That is not an effective way to give CPR. You should look up the correct way to do it. And so, yeah, it's just crazy that I learned that whenever you're giving CPR, they can throw up. And I was like, I don't love that. Like, why can't saving someone's life be clean? Why can't saving someone's life not make me go, ugh? I don't know. I sure don't know why that is. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But I am about to get off this exit. I'm recording this in a room while I'm driving. Which is the future. I can't wait till we have that. Yo, guys, what's up? I'm in my new podcast car, and I'm heading out of the country, which has been divided into many sections now, and I'm escaping war. So check this out. You can find us on... Nope, that website got taken down. You can find us on this. Blah, blah, blah. That's funny. Anyways, I'm exhausted. I love you. I had such a fun weekend. I hope I do more sold-out shows. That's what I want. And so, yeah, it's lovely. I love what I do. I'm a happy guy. You should be happy. And you got to check out, I just put out the teaser because I have all the footage now, and I'm so excited for Discombobulated on the Street. We have other episodes coming, so make sure you check that out. Share this with your friends. That costs nothing. Could you buy my merch that's available online at bobbyjcox.com? You sure fucking could. But if you don't, hey... That's okay. You're going to pump our gas someday. I'm just kidding. Remember that movie? That only happens in like 2 states. So, yeah, check that out. Discombobulated on the Street. Check out me coming to your city to do stand-up. Next year, I have a music album coming out. So check that out. I'll never stop. Can't stop, won't stop, because the thoughts never stop. That's ADHD. You're listening to me. I love you. My name's Bobby. Bye-bye. Bye.